move. Second move is continue spiral. When I teach, I reoccurring themes, and you'll hear them repeated. Repetition being the mother of skill. Is we want to get position, take the balance of position, which is probably the most important, and then technical response. There's an order and a sequence to things. The more we follow the natural order and sequence, the easier it is to learn. So, as I tell my students, one thing about Aikido, you pick a doubly hard endeavor. Why? Because you have to learn how to learn. You have to learn how to learn. So that's a process. That takes approximately 5 years. That's why that's about the time for Shodan. So once you make Shodan, then what are you? You're ready to learn, right? Because now you've learned the basic skill level to be able to practice. Also, the caution, or to consider, that when you practice, especially new skills, to do them slowly, you do them continuously. The most important thing is in practicing is to be continuous, unending, or unstopping in your movement. Not to do it fast and incorrect, therefore developing inaccurate muscle memory. Then you have to unlearn what you've already learned, which makes it twice as hard. Because none of us want to feel weak or exposed, right? It's very difficult to do that. But have a little faith, you know. When you practice slowly and continuously, one thing will happen. Speed is inevitable. Speed will always come as your skill level increases. But guess what? It's going to be one and done. You've made it. Okay? So just some of my views, if you find interest in it, try it. You know, it certainly helps in the process of your learning. So be prepared. Also, I want to stress caution. I don't want anyone to get hurt in my class. And my standing rule is if you get hurt, I'll kill you. Just kidding. But I'm very serious about it. So be aware of your partner's skill level, intensity. You know, if you're at a 10 or 12 and your partner's at a 4, I suggest changing partners. Okay? Or slow down to help them. So just be cognizant. We're here to develop each other. So also, when doing your techniques, think of closure all the time. Think of completing your movement, not of half movements. Half movements get you killed. Full movement, always go, wrap it up. Beginning, middle, end. Also, one of my key other elements I like to stress in teaching is nail your opening move. Nail your opening move. You have to begin correctly to end correctly. If you begin correctly, probability of ending correctly is enhanced dramatically. If you don't begin correctly, then you're playing your compromise. Okay? So let's not compromise ourselves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this movement and oftentimes when I say complete movements, unless otherwise specified, because sometimes we'll break it down movement by movement, and you're only going to do part of the movement at a time. So I don't want you to think I'm contradicting what I'm saying when I show you. So first move here, always making good extension. You don't want anyone once. Generally speaking, we're pretty good until he breaches this. Once he breaches that, I'm going to be into a movement. Don't let your area be breached. You have to control that area. You're in charge of that area, right? You're in charge. Maintain control over the controllables. Okay? So, first move here. Now, here I'm going to do this right here. Now, from here, second move is right here. So this hand comes up like kyo, kyondo. Believe me when I tell you, they'll never see it coming. Just like an uppercut. You never see it coming. It's up the big line. Okay? So here, as we said, we've got three things. We've got three things. We've got position. We change the equation. As long as he's moving in some way, he can't fire on me. So I keep him occupied here. At that point, when he's doing what I call the happy dance, you come in, break this posture here. And then continue into EQ or EQ. But let's just do one. Just do this for now with the bike. Make sure you get a little handle on this week. Please try it. On this, most of you are pushing your partner away. And I did. Normally we're not pushing anyone away. We're trying to entangle them up. We're not pushing them away in most instances. So the best way to get this what you use your okay as a template for what you're doing. Okay? The way that I move is going to determine his position. So if I'm going to do a nikyo, let's say in this case the nikyo version, I'm going to come up here and put myself in the nikyo. And then I'm going to be right in the position. Does that make sense? In other words, don't push away this way. I need to entangle. So it's a spiral, it's a continual spiral. Work on that spiral. Okay? So move close to the body, much like cookie this. This has to be very relaxed in here. There's a vertical axis here. And then this just continues, and this continues, and then this continues. It's all spirals. It's a continuation of spirals. So think of putting yourself, if you want to get his arm in the right position, put yourself in that position, and then extend it out. Try that. We do this. I can't get it. So many of you too are confusing similar movements. It happens. You're exposed to a lot of great Aikido. Sometimes there's variances, nuances, differences. Try to abandon what you know or what you normally do and try something a little differently. That's how you really grow. Not that it might not be any better, you might not like it, that's okay. But you stretch your mind. You know, take into consideration what other people have learned over years, decades, and incorporate it. The best way to learn, one of the best ways is through learning from people, obviously, that are very skilled, but also mimicking those people. Modeling is more, I guess, a better term. So if you want to be good at anything, look at the people that do it the best and do what they do. That's how you become good. You know, one guy I used to work for was obviously very wealthy, but he says, Andy, if you want to be a millionaire, he says, you got to hang out with millionaires. You know, if you want to be good at IKEA, you got to hang out with IKEA people. It holds true no matter what you do. Also, do not push your okay away on this. We don't want to repel them. We want to disorient them. There's two ways to disorient: through movement or through a theme. Two basic ways. In real situations, you have to definitely, kazushi is so important. That's the dividing. That's what the best common denominator of being successful is, the ability to take balance and disrupt their orientation. Now again, you do that through positioning. Positioning is number one, remember, in that triad, position, balance, technique. So you have to get that position first. Okay? Get position. disrupting his balance, the teaming, complete technique. Okay, now what I'm going to do is from here, this is always a little bit of it's a very basic teaming, but it's done incorrectly 95% of the time. I have a lot of basic theories on doing proper teaming, and they're not that complicated. The more basic you are at what you do, the more successful you're going to be. And there's no room for fluff in reality. There's no room for being fancy. You want to be accurate. You want to be correct. You want to be right on. Okay? That's what we're training for. I think that's why I train. And whether you practice just because you love to practice or you have a martial sense about you, you still owe it to the creator to practice properly. And it is a martial art. Now, I don't mean you don't have to be mean. You don't have to hurt anyone. That's not us. Okay? But you have to be real in your training. Does that make sense? You have to be orthodox in what you do. And if you study Aikido properly, you'll find that. You know, Vince Lombardi was one of the greatest coaches of all time. They asked him what he was going to do when he went to Green Bay. He says, we're going to become brilliant at the basics. Brilliant at the basics. That's brilliant, isn't it? Become brilliant at the basics. He said, we're going to learn all the fundamentals, passing, blocking, kicking, tackling. What made him great? Basics. Being excellent at the basics. Sometimes, another phrase I use quite a bit is, less is often more. You don't need to do a lot of extemporaneous things if what you're doing is getting the job done. Don't see how many things you can do, see how few things you can do and get the results. Not by compromising, but by not being overly zealous. Okay? So things you don't want to waste time doing, the things you don't need to do. So the second part, and the reason I talk about the atimi here is this atimi is going to come right up. Once I enter here, I'm going to bring this hand up. Now, I've got stones here, I've got it tilting. The next thing that's going to rock his world is this hand. You come up under somebody's chin like this and do it, and in here, please don't do it hard, but be aware that this is a very hard blow. Anyone can hit somebody hard this way, relatively speaking, without compromising your hand or breaking a fist. You know, boxers wrap their hands and do everything, and they still end up bruising their hands. Palm heel is one of the strongest, least compromising positions. So here, 1, 2. Now I want to, just to be the target now. Don't put your hand up. But I do expect when we throw a atimi in class that you brush it aside. Nobody here is going to intend to hit you on purpose, but it could happen accidentally. Okay? So always you have to be cautious, error on the side of caution. But for now, I want you to have a clear target, so you understand what I'm talking about. So one is here, we're just going to do this. I'm not going to accentuate taking them too much here, because I want you to come in next, right here. So here, now, I'm changing center line here, and coming in. Okay? Second move, we start. Now, back in the day, when students don't have any martial arts in the U.S., when they taught Shibonage, Omote, it was done a little differently. It was done from the second step. And I think it was to familiarize us with that position. Now in Omote, you know the different variations of Omote, but most importantly is your slide step. Again, always admonishing people for crossing your feet. Never cross your feet. Crossing your feet is, no, it's very dangerous. But the slide step is very good. So what we did, just very quickly on this, we did Katatori Shibonage Omote, we would start right here. And then you would move here to the top. And down. So what were you doing? We were starting from the second position. So if you like this technique and you want to practice it and build it, what you can do is do this. Just start from this position right here, so that you are so absolutely you can't miss your target. I can tell you, if you get this off, you won't have to do anything else. But just in case you don't want to finish them like that, you continue down. So put it all together is a group of continuous cycles. Please try the whole technique. Okay, you're doing pretty well on it. Some of the things to just reiterate is don't try and retell them here, but you want to engage them. Here, it's like my element radius, his element radius, right? You know, I bring the elbow down. My elbow goes down, guess what? His elbow goes up. It's amazing correspondence, isn't it? I think that that's part of the whole vast plan, is understanding these things, how we move. Never allowing them to remain. Once you have the Kazushi established, you don't relinquish it. You remember, it's one combo and kill, basically. That's what you're trying to do. Be careful on that. The second thing, biggest area to improve would be you come right in with this palm step. So these are done simultaneously. It has to be seamless. You transition all the time, it's seamless. Again, don't worry about how fast you do it initially. Worry how correctly you do it. Speed will come, I guarantee it. Speed will come. We know speed works, if we do it, and I can talk about these mistakes because I made them all. So sometimes we learn from our mistakes. So don't rush things. Here, again, order and sequence. Completing your movement. Now, we're going to change here, we're going to come out, we're going to add another spiral. Here, the spiral, again, I'm just going to switch up, and I'm going to do a nityo here. I have here. So for this nityo, it's like using. You can reach inside or use the key here. And we have to keep the arm level here. Now, here, all my joints here are aligned here, and I'm compressing. Okay? Be careful because it's very painful. Josh, try it. Be careful, please. Error on the side of caution because it's more painful than you might think. It's sort of renegade in that regard, so be careful with it because when you catch somebody with it, it really focuses on the elbow and the forearm. So what I find you doing, and again, mistakes I also have made. So I can't say anything that hurt your feelings because I'm talking about what I do. You have to have complete each phase of the movement. Now, if I'm doing, say, this technique, I start out here, I go down to here. I'm not completed yet, but I'm over him. I always want the high ground. So now I take, if I can get his sleeve, I'm going to take his sleeve and push out here. Then I'm going to turn into him. See, I'm going to stay on top of him. I'm not going to let him get up on me. And then I'm going to use all the leverage that I have. He will put back what he did not still. So what I'm saying is complete the movement and then go to the final phase. Don't skip a movement and expect to get to the final phase and expect it to work. You can't leave out that important element. So get into a position where it's applicable. Now I'm ready, right? I have superior position, upper hand, I have a good extension. So now grab this and then keep them down and they just turn, 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 turn. Okay? It's a labor of love. Somebody else do it.
Sensei, ready?
Okay, thank you very much. All did well. We only really worked on a couple of techniques, but we worked. So it's very important at times just to slow down, take something, and learn it. There's no rush. It's going to take you a lifetime to learn it, but it's a great endeavor. So you all did very well. And experiment a little with those and see what you come up with. If you have any questions, I'm available. Thank you very much. Several classes. It's all right. But we have one person in here that's 7 so far. This will be number 7. So that's a great effort. So when I teach, I work on some basic principles. The way you approach the techniques, the way you approach your training is very important to me. In Aikido, I believe there's a double lesson. You have to learn how to learn Aikido. So it's very important how that you work. There's an order and a sequence to things. The more that we do these things, the more accurately we do these things, we shorten the learning curve. Okay, so we can help people come up much quicker than we did. And be a lot less frustrated making mistakes. So that's always a good thing. So I work on first, always position. Position is primary. Position is the genesis of everything we're doing. Position is like the 3 rules of real estate, right? But it's location, 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 right? Position, position, position. You start from a position. Second is what? Kazushi, or taking balance. That's probably the most important part of the functional part of the technique, is taking the balance, disorienting, whether it's through extension, itimi, or combination of such. You have to do that in order to be successful at the completion of the technique. And third is the technique with the appropriate response. I say technique when we're doing it prearranged. I say appropriate response when it's randoric. Make sense? So you get your position, you take your balance, and then you execute the technique. As far as I know, that'll probably stay like that as long as the physical universe is as it is. It's very simple. It's an order and sequence, as there is throughout nature. Begin correctly to end correctly. Begin correctly to end correctly. So one of my focuses in training is nail your first movement. Nail your first movement. If you nail your first movement, the probability of finishing that movement successfully is greatly enhanced. Does that make sense? Because if you don't move correctly, then you're trying to catch up the whole time. Take control right from the beginning. Also, in learning, and this is something to take with you, the old saying is slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And believe this, if you can't do it slow, you can't do it fast. You can't do it slow, you can't do it fast. So there are times when we have to slow down, especially for new skills. Phil may be weak or vulnerable, but don't be afraid of that. Take your time and learn the technique. The more successful you learn, the better your whole experience. So I'm going to be working on things like that today and pointing them up. So we'll do these as we go. Okay. No. This gentleman right here. Thank you. Okay. So we're starting. First move this. He's here. So it's 50-50. Maybe not because he's fast. So I have to change the equation. He's in front of me. I I don't want him to breach my space, so what do? I need to change his position. As I do that, we work mechanically bilaterally. So I'm extending here, like I'm cutting or drawing my sword here, and I'm exposing him. Most of all, I put him out of contact with me. I have position or Shinbaku, dead side, so then I can perform. But I have to do that opening move in order to have a variety of other moves become available. That's why you nail the first move. So, I need to change this direction. Can you change this here? Here. I don't need that. I have to. Here and check. So, do this, do it deliberately. Take your time. So it's like, as this hand goes forward, this hand changes. And back. Show me that much, good point. This is a cut. Like I'm cutting across with me. Well, what am I doing? I'm changing the direction of his weapons. There's focus here. Then you start. Up. Okay. Open them up. Oh, God, that's an opening move. No. Here we go. Counter movement, much like Kanai Sensei will show up. So, here, I extend it out. Here, now, I plant this foot. Now, just stay right where you're at. That's my next move. So to be successful, you have to get that pivot. That's a dynamic. If I'm here, and I move like this, there's no connection. There's no continuity of the spiral. Here, it's continuous. Try. Because if you have to do something in reality, your functionality will only go down 40% due to adrenal stress. That's why you don't want to do anything too fancy. You want to be accurate, precise. High payout techniques with low risk.
Hi, sir.
Lower and mid turn. With working a negative relationship, they have to be sort of symbiotic. You know, you have to connect and blend. And ideally, we don't try to get away from something. Well, we try to trap through the motion. So from here, I'm going to start my cut. It's just as if I had a short sword here and cut here. So this will give you the hip rotation here. And this changes. Bang. Back. Order in sequence. Now when you go into the throw very dynamically, the TV at that point is an option. If you take it without it, fine. If you do it, fine. We'll take a millisecond long. Okay. Try it. Their floating ribs or kidney area is your target for a team. So how do I get her that? You pretended that you have even the tonsil, and I'm cutting across their knee This will change the whole dynamic for you and get low. Okay. And this goes forward, this goes back. Bilateral movement. Okay? And then, now to complete the dynamics of this throw, it has to be one pivot and throw. So it's a very tight spiral. Try again. Any technique that if you watch any of the Master Shihan, they're always going to get position on you. That's what we talked about earlier. Now, in this move here, I strongly suggest that you, as you do this, visualize it, cutting across. Now, you can use the hand like this. You can take the Shihonage grip. Very good. Try it. Yeah, but cut, and you have to get low. And you have to have room to deliver a team. You can't do it when you're right on top of something like this. Only Bruce Lee could do this very much. And he's not here. So here, you see when I open them up, now what do? I draw it back. Now I've got a clear shot at him. Quite honestly, that's probably all I have to do if you do this. Here, and then just continue it around. Now that created an opening. What do I want to do all the time? I want to get to the back. Here. Always want to the back. This finishes in seconds. So every move you do, Irinage, really is kubishi. It's just that we don't do the kubishi all the time. But you're in a position to do kubishi. Anytime you are, there's a shit here. Always get that. So keep that in mind. That's real version of some things. Keep that in mind. So what we did here is we did more of a short circle. It was a close technique. These also can be done by bringing the guy out here and throwing if you can entice them out. So just come for you here. I love it, a technique which brings my partner into my choke. Every technique virtually does that. Because you get the back. Yeah? So for this, we can do this in line. Just do a cookie magnet with it. This point. Bigger movement. Big lines. Okay, now you sense here, throws. Make some small lines. So, now this technique you go off and again, causing the person, anytime, if you're in a confrontation, you want to take her back. You want to have the back. You want to have the high ground, and you want to have the back. Blind side. Okay, make sense? We're talking reality, life and death. Get their back. You have to get it back. So, now, when they spin away from you, I think it's a greater neutralizer than a lot of other methods. Because if you're smaller, it's not as much effort to move somebody when you can keep them in motion. The idea is, once the contact or their contact's made, you have to be in motion. And that motion can't stop. It's like pushing a car. If you push a car and you stop, what do you have to do again? You have to overcome the inertia again, right? If the inertia is up, it's just like stop. As soon as there's a pause, that's when that person can hit you or do something. Make sense? So you have to, it's like grabbing a 440 line. You can't let it go. That it has to be that type of attraction. So I like this technique. It's a Ahame Katatakuri Shihonage nice leading flowing technique, and it helps build you up for Yoko and stuff and eye harmony. Okay? So you have to be a little bit movable with it. So. Movement, the lead. It's a little tricky this way. So when he reaches for me, I turn his hand out. Then I continue my circle. So you have to be patient and try this hand movement a couple times, or you'll miss it. So that's why sometimes you do picture frame like here. One snapshot. Get that move. And the next. In this case, just work on turning your partner. Again, what am I doing? Turning them away from me. You have to watch for the back elbow. Very good. Practice the lead, please. Keep it moving. That's why you have to teach this grip. Keep them moving. Keep them moving. A couple more minutes on this. This end of class with someone who's innovative. Demko I've been working on, it's on the drawing board, I'd like to do some test marking. It's a little bit unique, very painful, so be very careful. Did you all sign waivers? Barry, where's my turn? So we're going to take it from basic eye harmony katata 20 inertia to get into the, I'm going to make it easy to get into the technique, because what I'm going to focus on now in retro is the end of the technique, so we get a little time. Everybody knows the first part, basically, how we can get into it. So let's think of eye harmony here, here. We go around here. Here. So, yeah, now, if they've got sleeve, take the sleeve, get as much grip as you can, take it and keep the high ground. I want it to stay high. Here, I turn this in, and I park all my joints across here, my hips, my shoulders, everything. I twist this, and I twist this, and go in. Okay? All right. Here we go. I'll be around. Do it very much. It's still, like I say, it's still on the drawing board, so I'm looking at different angles, but it's stronger each time. It's scary. It's a very, very good lever. So from here, you want, again, you want to take them down, so each joint needs to, okay? Here, you have them down. You want to always keep the high ground. If he's bigger than you, you're not bigger than him. Huh? Keep the high ground. Here. Now, make your change here. Now, what I do is, I leave the elbow right here, and I grab just underneath the elbow, and I grab here. And I just twist there's a vertical axis here, and I turn all my high leverage into here. Okay, you say you'll float. So be careful with it. Now there are, as in any technique, no one can do every technique the same as the teacher does it or somebody else does it. Sometimes you have to make physical adaptations. You know, if a thumb is injured, a hand's injured, or you don't have the strength, then you're allowed, and I always say this in my classes, you're allowed to modify the technique as long as you don't compromise your okay or hurt them or stand a chance of hurting them. But you should know how to move when a situation arises. And in addition to that, never stop doing a technique until it's completed. Even if you think you screwed it up. Keep going, as long as you're not, again, injuring life or limb. Because what you do in training is what you do in reality. And if you do something that doesn't work, you say, oh, bullshit, and then the guy whacks you, you know. You can't do that. You have to finish. You have to go for closure all the time in your techniques, beginning to end. Wrap the package. Okay? So, say in the technique, perhaps one lady was having trouble because she couldn't hold the hand here. So we got this handle, we got this handle. So I says, well, just put it to your chest and hold it here, and then just do this. So you're allowed to modify it, because everything doesn't work exactly the same way. Does that make sense?
Hey.
Oh, I'm over time. Stretch your backs.